This video is going to be my second film study preview of the Detroit Lions playing host to the Commanders in the NFC Divisional Round playoffs Saturday night in Detroit. I'm going to focus this one, just like the first one that I published on Tuesday, on the Lions and Aaron Glenn's staff trying to focus on how to slow down Jayden Daniels and this versatile, multifaceted spread option attack that I think attacks people a lot horizontally generally, tries to spread you out horizontally and create as much conflict as possible, not just in your alignment and your reaction, but also in your mental capacity, in your processing of what's happening pre and both post snap. I finished my film study categorization of the Washington Commanders offense, and I came away just as impressed as I was earlier in the season when they came to Baltimore and lost a close game 30-23. Cliff Kingsbury's done a great job there. Jayden Daniels has been fantastic in his rookie season, hasn't turned the football over a ton. I have chosen to focus on 4 or perhaps 5 elements of their offense and the way that they attack defenses. Number 1, clutch or demanding or challenging throws by Jayden Daniels in high-pressure situations. And I'll kind of link that to what I think is a favorite formation or favorite concept of theirs, to throw the ball inside the 5-yard line, trying to score. And in fact, Jayden Daniels has one game-winning touchdown pass against the Atlanta Falcons on it, and then a completion on a 2-point conversion pass earlier in the season. Number 2, the second part, will be the option game that is very diverse, difficult to defend, utilizes Jayden Daniels to create 11-on-11 situations, and how they take advantage of a formation called trips closed A to convert an overwhelming majority of their short yardage situations with option concepts. Parts 3 and 4 of my preview that I won't cover here today in this video will be scrambles, designed quarterback draws, or designed quarterback sweeps, what is commonly referred to now as pin-pull concepts. And then finally, screens, which Cliff Kingsbury utilizes as, I would say, an extension of the run game, try to get the ball outside. He oftentimes likes screens from a 21 personnel grouping or 20 personnel grouping, where there's 2 running backs in the backfield with Jayden Daniels. One of them motions out, and Daniels has the option to give it to a running back or keep it as part of a, quote, RPO concept, and then switch it back out into the flats to the running back who had motioned out previously. This particular video is only going to focus on some of Jayden Daniels' more high-pressure, difficult or demanding throws from the last 3 or 4 weeks, goal line pass plays, and then option concepts. So we'll delve into the trips closed formation a little bit. Let's get the film started here, and we're going to start with his game-winning touchdown pass against the Falcons. They're going to motion Zacchaeus down, and I think this bunch alignment is one of Cliff Kingsbury's and Jayden Daniels' favorite formations or platforms to use down here inside the 5. It's a great route by Zach Ertz, who fakes like he's going to go out into the flats and then brings this route back underneath. Nice tight throw by Jayden Daniels underneath. Again, this is overtime. I mistakenly in my first preview yesterday said that this game occurred in Atlanta. My apologies for that. It's obviously in Washington. Give you the end zone angle of this one. Very calm young man back there playing quarterback, if you ask me, for the situations that he's been in. You have to recognize that they've won 5 consecutive games by 1 score or less, 1 touchdown or less, I should say. There's Ertz. They motion to a bunch. He releases outside, and you can see that Zacchaeus, who motioned down from outside in, he's running across. They love these underneath drags, essentially mesh concepts, in short yardage situations if they're not going to run option stuff or they're not going to utilize a designed quarterback sweep or quarterback draw for Jayden Daniels. Game-winning touchdown against the Eagles, not a similar concept to the one that I just showed you. They're down 33-28 at this time. I think it's 2nd and 10. Inside of like 30 seconds left in the game, might be 40 seconds left. I'm not sure. But in any case, watch the concept that they run with the receiver down here and the tight end. They switch release them. So the receiver goes first underneath and runs the deeper in cut, and then the tight end essentially gets vertical and he runs underneath, kind of like levels, if you will. And I think Jayden Daniels is just reading the inside linebacker safety combo, but he makes such quick decision here. He's already decided to throw at this point, I believe, because this safety has not committed in this direction, and the inside linebacker's back is kind of turned to him. The correct decision, obviously. Very smooth operator in these high leverage situations, if you ask me. I always look at what teams and players can do, especially when it's a team that I'm unfamiliar with. I did get to watch a significant amount of film of Washington and Jayden Daniels earlier in the season, and then refamiliarizing myself later here as they got matched up with the Lions in the division round. You can see that he's reading the safety linebacker combo. You might see Bond's helmet there a little bit were it not for my logo. He's trying to decide whether to throw the deeper route to the wide receiver or to the tight end underneath. And you can see correct decision, absolute strike there to win the game against the Eagles, who they kind of wore down. Look, they turned the ball over 5 times, still able to get the win. I don't think they can afford to turn the football over 5 times against this Detroit Lions offense. Just too damn good and too talented with a staff that's going to take advantage of stuff like that. It hasn't been perfect, don't get me wrong. It certainly wasn't against the Eagles. Like I said, 5 turnovers. You got to get him off his rhythm. And even then, he can execute so many things. But what I mean when I say get him off his rhythm is they're going to drop one OLB out and then bring the boundary side inside linebacker such that they're making things look different post-snap than they did at the snap or pre-snap. I think you've got to disconnect him from his communication tandem, which is Cliff Kingsbury in the headset. And so different looks post-snap, I think, is the way to do that. I'm not saying that this is going to solve the problem, shut down Jayden Daniels. He's just too talented, man. Guys that have that much talent and a great offensive staff, a great plan from a week-by-week basis, they're going to make plays. As much as they can, I think they've got to get into switch rushing and who's going to blitz so that you can bring safe pressure but still bring pressure in a way that you control. Because Jayden Daniels has the ability to scramble out of there, make plays with his legs. If you just present the same 4-man look all game long and bring those guys, I think post-snap changing the look is a factor here. Doesn't mean that Jayden Daniels can't execute against it. Just give him as many looks as possible such that your defense can execute. And with the Lions' defensive losses that have occurred over the course of the season, I think they've got to avoid being overly simplistic. Against the Minnesota Vikings, it worked. Being extremely simplistic is a great play by Slay, obviously, and then interception bounced to his teammate, one of the safeties, who I thought really got taken advantage of in this game against Washington. Get to some film from the wild card matchup, and we're going to focus on third downs. This is a first possession. I think it's the second third down that they faced. It's a 3rd and 3, and he's going to go up top to Terry McLaurin. It's man-to-man against Jamel Dean, who I think got hurt in that game. Lions fans should be really familiar with him. As much as the Lions have faced the Bucs in the last 2 years, it's perfectly thrown ball. You've got the correct pace, the correct loft, and then he's connected to Terry McLaurin, obviously, from the standpoint of those guys being lined up with how they accomplish things. Look at the challenge by Dean. There is very small margin for error there. He's able to go up top and get the first down, give the wide receiver a chance, really, like I said, because he identified the coverage, he knew it was coming, and was able to help with the pass pro and then physically get the throw out there. He's a very gifted young man, clearly, with a safety. I think it's Winfield bearing down on him. Still able to get the throw off, convert for an early first down. Like I said, that was on the first drive of the game. The thing about the Lions, though, if you're a Washington fan and you're watching this long, first of all, thank you, but this will not dissuade Aaron Glenn from playing his style of football. He will continue to play those coverages. He's not going to be moved off of his spot. And there's something to be said for that mentality. It reminds me, from a coach's standpoint, of almost like CD3, how CD3 played this year, whereby he just wouldn't give an inch to a receiver or anyone at all. Same game against Tampa Bay last week. And this is going to be an amazing throw off of a scramble. It's a third. I got it listed as 3rd and 11. My apologies for that. I think it's actually 3rd and 6. Kalijah Cansey played a fantastic game for the Bucs. In this case, happens to fall down. I don't think you can let Jayden Daniels scramble out to his right. That's a very canned saying. I mean, people say the same thing about Mahomes, about Josh Allen, about Lamar Jackson. Well, they're right-handed quarterbacks. You don't want them to scramble to the throwing side. So whatever pressure, and by the way, that is a conversion there. I'll give you the end zone angle. Whatever pressure Aaron Glenn brings, not all the time, but sometimes, I think it's going to have to be based on right and left. And I don't think you can do stuff like this, whereby you bring a D tackle across face from your left to right for the defense or right to left for the offense. There has to be some consideration of how gifted this young man is, being able to move out to his right from an athletic standpoint and then still be able to throw the football. Look, the offensive staff there, Jayden Daniels too, I mean, obviously, they've done a great job. They've done a fantastic job this year. They've created a player who's very surgical, very calm in these high leverage moments. And I think they've clearly installed an offense that he's comfortable with. How much of it came from his college days? How much of it was Cliff Kingsbury stuff initially? I kind of don't care, to be honest with you. I just care about the product that's put out there, and it looks pretty damn good. I'm quite sure that Washington fans are really excited. So, second possession is a 3rd and 2. Again, we're focusing on high leverage situations here. That's the first element of this film study. And Zacchaeus, again, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing his name, he's going in motion across. Jayden Daniels got confirmation, obviously, that it's going to be man-to-man. Really cool concept down here to the bottom side of the screen. I would call this a man beater. So they're going to fake the slant pick route that would look like a wheel to Zacchaeus. So essentially they'd be picking or screening the guy responsible for Zacchaeus. Instead, they fake that, and then Zacchaeus brings his route back underneath. It's a man beater. You can look for that route to show up early in the game on a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, when Jayden Daniels and the Washington Commanders think they're going to get man, and they motion him across to almost create a little bit of a tightly aligned 2 receivers. They're not stacked. Looks like they're about 6 yards away from each other. But in any case, I would look for that one early on when Jayden Daniels thinks he's got man, and they want to convert a 3rd and short, 3rd and medium. Again, I think that Aaron Glenn would benefit. The Lions would benefit from showing man, motion across, and then stopping to play zone. Brian Branch is part of that, if you ask me. Melifonwu as well. I'm not sure that I would want Melifonwu matched up on a guy like Zacchaeus. Brian Branch, to me, is the key or the answer for some of this, because you can motion him across, and he can actually play man on Zacchaeus, but you can also utilize him to then drop out in zone. He's a very versatile player. With Anzalone back, that's a defense that became more versatile immediately once he stepped on the field, because they can get checked into the right look at a moment's notice. Another 3rd down on that same drive. And this is a similar scheme somewhat to the Eagles' touchdown to win the game that I showed you. First, let's start here. This is establishment. You're going to get this backside kind of climb post concept from McLaurin, and that's going to impact this safety down here, only because, Jayden Daniels gets time for it to do so. Additional to that, this tight end is occupying the safety to the top side of our screen. So as a result of those 2 safeties being occupied by McLaurin and Zach Ertz, I think it's De'Ami Brown is able to run the dig across the back of the end zone. Very similar conceptually to a touchdown that Rashad Bateman had last week against the Steelers in the wild card round. Again, you can see there's time for Jayden Daniels to assess, let those routes work themselves out. Ertz occupied the 1 safety. McLaurin's route from the other side of the field occupied this safety, and then you can see it allows Brown to be wide open over the middle of the field. I think in some of these 3rd down situations, you're going to see Aaron Glenn err on the side of bringing pressure, probably from the Lions' defense's left or the right side of the offensive line for Washington. I'm not able to give any declarative statements about their offensive line, to be honest with you, at this point in time. I think the Lions' defense is up against it in terms of stopping these guys 6, 7, 8 times. I'm not saying that they can't stop them, but I wouldn't look for them to stop Washington's offense cold completely the way that they did against Minnesota 2 weeks ago in Week 18. Totally different quarterback, totally different level of athleticism, even though obviously the wide receiver core for the Vikings, would be looked at as superior to the top 2 guys for Washington. I want to talk about one of their most dangerous formations here, and I'm going to set this up for a moment. I call it trips closed. Now, as we get to the film here, it's actually not going to be trips. They're going to motion to it. So trips closed means there's a tight end on the backside who's closed off. He's on the line of scrimmage next to the tackle, either the right tackle or the left tackle, and he's not split out as a wide receiver. A means the running back is on the same side as the tight end. B means he's on the opposite side from the tight end, to the side of the trips. It's one of the most dangerous formations that I've seen them run, because they have horizontal balance, right-left balance, if you will, along with run-pass balance at the same time. Everyone talks about run-pass balance from a personnel standpoint, a formation standpoint, situational, but I think horizontal balance, right-left balance is just as important, meaning every formation that you show, you've got 4, 5, 6 plays from that formation, and you can threaten the right and the left side of the field evenly. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. Let's get to the first example of it. It's actually not trips closed at first once this receiver motions across. Trips closed A means the running back and tight end are on the same side. And then you've got the trips, the 3 receivers to the field out of 11 personnel. There's a lot going on here. This is a cool concept that I call the second guy through. So the man who went in motion, the receiver, right to left, clears out this space such that the running back can cross Daniel's face. Here's the receiver who goes through to run a wheel, and then this running back slides out into the same area that receiver just vacated through, hence the name second man through. It's a very dangerous concept, effective against zone in particular, when the running back lines up to the boundary and then crosses from the boundary, the short side of the field here, to the field side, because he's kind of unaccounted for from a half field concept. You can see all the space that's afforded there, and then obviously he jumps over the defender to create a little bit of an impressive finish. Same play from the end zone angle. We get the motion through, trips closed A, tight end running back on the same side. Option over here is a big concept that we'll get into a little bit in this video, and more so in the third preview that I put out. Very difficult to match this running back running across in zone. Fortunately, Aaron Glenn plays a lot of man. The running back coverage is going to be a huge aspect, if you ask me, whether it's design plays like that one or running back screens. Keep in mind, this play here, every play that you see against the Falcons and Eagles, in fact, is game-winning drives. So it's all high pressure, and that's why, again, I picked this to lead off with in terms of what Jayden Daniels has been capable of so far. Same drive against the Falcons. Trips closed, and you're actually going to get a run concept here. Switches sides, and there is no read man because of the alignment of this defensive tackle, defensive end. When you get the end zone angle, you'll see what I mean. So as a result, they're just going to block him. And I think Jayden Daniels ends up reading the inside linebacker. So once that inside linebacker steps down with the give, he keeps it around the edge. I think he gets 7 yards. Additional to that, spread concept, you've got the bubble creating the triple option, the third phase, phase 1, the give, phase 2, the quarterback, phase 3, the bubble. Not saying that people generally get to that phase, and certainly in this case they don't, but you can see that receiver positioning himself to try to stay behind Jayden Daniels such that he could receive a pitch. Keep that in mind. Wouldn't surprise me if you see that at some point during the game on Saturday night. Same play from the end zone angle. Again, we're talking about this defensive end because of his alignment, head up, almost a 4-eye, if you will. So Jayden Daniels ends up just reading the next man out in the count, whether they're counting from outside in or inside out. Inside linebacker steps with the running back, outruns him to the edge. The backer still makes the tackle. Is it too much for Jayden Daniels? Does he take too many hits? Look, man, some of these special athletes, like Lamar Jackson's one of them, they don't take big hits. They're just smart. Now, has Jayden Daniels taken some big hits here at the end of the year, particularly near the sideline? Sure. Yes, he did, especially last week against Tampa Bay. I think 1 or perhaps 2. He just plays through it. Like, I don't know. I think that because my experiences at the high school and the youth level, those are not descriptors or evaluations that I get into because I've seen so many quarterbacks over the years run the option, whether it was a triple option offense out of the shotgun, under center, a wing T offense where the quarterback is used as a run threat, or the double wing. Those guys are just football players. And so at the NFL level, are the defensive ends, linebackers bigger and stronger and faster? Of course they are. Is the differential in how big and fast and strong they are with the quarterback different than college? Absolutely. But so far, at least for Jayden Daniels, it hasn't had an impact for him. This is trips closed A. Again, this is a 2-point conversion play against the Eagles. This is after the go-ahead touchdown pass, the game-winning touchdown pass, if you will, that put them up 34-33. This 2-point conversion puts them up 36-33. Now, there's a little bit of a different way that they block it. So that's the read man typically, but they're blocking him. So they're just, I call it lock, but other people call it different things. You get a really good combo here by the tackle and guard combination. The tackle blocks down and then works up to this safety such that that safety doesn't have an easy fill inside to come down on the running back. In this case, it's a give, probably an auto give would be my guess. Runs right through the contact because of the downhill nature of his run path. From 11 personnel, it really controls the 3 technique. It makes the blocking scheme predictable. So what I mean is, because it's 11 personnel with the tight end here, you're getting the 3 technique to this side. So the commanders, understand that they're going to get a combo here and then work up to someone at the second level. In this case, because of the gaps, the Kobe Dean goes A gap, and then the C gap is the gap that someone has to take over, be it the safety, be it the corner. In any case, the way that it works out, tackle combos up, able to get enough a piece of the safety that it really doesn't matter that the safety is there at the 1 yard line. Beautiful concept. Takes advantage, if you ask me, of the alignment of teams against 11 personnel, particularly when they're playing man. This is their go-to play. Down on the goal line, 2-point situation, short yardage, trips closed A, particularly into the boundary. Expect to see it on Saturday night. Another trips closed. Maybe I'm going a little bit too much into this one. I wanted to save it for another video. I was hoping to be able to get you guys out of here in 25 or 30 minutes. But there's just so much information to present. I've done so much research. I'd like to present it and then get feedback from people. If you enjoy it, please let me know in the comment section. This is first drive against the Bucks, first possession, and a little bit different flavor of the option here. It's a lot of fun to see this. There's the tight end and the running back on the same side. Up to the boundary. When I say boundary, I mean the ball is here. So the boundary short side is up, to the left, to the top of that line. And the field or the wide side of the field is down here. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. If you're not familiar with that concept, let me know. And this time they're optioning the D tackle, Kalijah Kancey, who played amazing. In the offseason, I'd love to do a film study video about him. I thought he had a great year. But he had a great game here. Doesn't finish this tackle. What's wrong with it? I'm not going to go into that. But cool design on this. So they're leaving him unblocked. And what's happening is the center is pulling to this direction, the downside, and that's going to pull one of the best inside linebackers that I've ever been able to watch play football for an extended period of time. This Lavonte David, going to pull him in that direction because he's reading his keys. As a result, the left guard is able to go pin David down. But you can see the numbers have not been created here. You've got Daniels, the left tackle, the tight end is 3. And then you've got the D tackle, safety, corner, D end. It's 4 on 3, but it's in the Bucks' favor. When you get the end zone angle, you'll see what I mean. How they're reading the D tackle instead of the D end. These are always cool plays to see when someone decides to change up who the read man is. There's the D end that would normally be read, into the boundary, especially because, like I said, it's 11 personnel. So you got trips off screen here, tight end to this side. So what's that mean? The 3 technique is going to be here. The B gap defender, the A gap defender, 1 technique, shade, whatever you want to call it, is going to be set to the field. So they're manipulating the 3 technique into the boundary and then trying to read Kancey and get him to step down. Maybe it just should have been a give, right? Would be my guess, but I don't know, how they teach it, what they're asking him to do. But because of the scheme, this is how they're able to deal with Lavonte David. They're pulling the center out to influence him to step in this direction, plus the running back is crossing Jayden Daniels' face. As a result of getting David to step that way, the left guard is able to work up to him and seal him off. I think that this probably should have been a give. Feel free to let me know in the comment section the way you understand the D tackle read option plays. Really cool stuff, even though it didn't work out. The scheme is fun to talk about. Talk about a couple of other option plays. This is a regular trips formation, and it's an arc read. So the tight end's going to loop to the outside of the read man. And when you get the end zone angle, you'll be able to get a clear idea of, what I think the Lions probably are going to do. Historically, when the running back would cross the quarterback's face, they would run the DN down the line of scrimmage in a violent, distinct, or manner to take away that running back path and then force the quarterback to keep it. But when you deal with guys like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jayden Daniels, from an athletic standpoint, he belongs in the group with those two. Obviously not from an accomplishment standpoint in the NFL just yet. You may not want to utilize that strategy. Here, the OLB is really doing nothing. He's just kind of standing flat. As a result, it's a give read. Consider this a jab for Washington. Downhill 4 or 5 yards is a jab to set up their next play, maintain their offensive flow. Jayden Daniels not going to misread it. I think you got to make the read muddy for him. Does it mean that you're going to screw him up? Does it mean he's going to mess up? No. It just means that you may limit this jab to a 2-yard gain instead of a 4-yard gain and create a more favorable situation for your defense on the next snap. Check out, just notice, since it's 11 personnel, where the B-gap defender is to the tight end side, A-gap defender away from there. So in any case, here's the read. Number 9. He's not stepping down violently to take away the running back, nor is he stepping upfield. Bad angle drawn there. Nor is he stepping upfield to take on the quarterback. He's kind of sitting flat. I would say the Lions would prefer for the edge defender to shuffle and stay square, such that when there is a give, then they can explode downhill and play a role in that tackle from the backside. Or shuffle downhill, stay square. Jayden Daniels keeps it. Now run and chase from inside out. Essentially, you become responsible for the outer half of the running back on a give. And then when Jayden Daniels keeps it, I'm not going to be able to draw this very well because he obviously didn't keep it. You become responsible for the back half, the inside half of the quarterback when he's running towards the sideline. Hence the phrase that I use, half man. Most times you'll hear it referred to nowadays as surf technique. I think Aaron Glenn and the Lions' job is to limit those to 2- and 3-yard gains. And to me, muddying the read for Jayden Daniels is really the best way to do that. A couple of other concepts here that we'll talk about, zone read stuff. This is a 2nd and 3 against the Eagles because of the threat of the RPO. Now, this guy's lined up a little too wide for me, in my experience, for it to actually be an RPO. But we'll still draw it from here. RPO with the slant, running back crossing the quarterback's face. This player being the read man, meaning he's unblocked, obviously, because he's at the 2nd level. And how does he react? If he goes with the running back, then you keep it and you throw the slant. If he sits tight, meaning he sits here, slow plays it for the slant, you give it to the running back. That's the RPO concept. In a nutshell, very basic explanation for it. Because they're blocking the backside edge defender, it makes it look like to me that it could be an RPO, but you're not getting a corresponding slant here at all. These guys are just stopping their routes. So, and look, this is late in the game. Like I said, every play that you see here from the Eagles game and from the Falcons game is the game-winning drives for the Commanders. So it's all high-pressure, high-leverage situations. You will see an actual RPO in a minute, a really cool variation that they're running. So there's the aforementioned inside linebacker to the field. It's Bond. And what they're trying to do is make him play slow. So threaten him with a slant that gets back into this window. That gets back into this window here. Threaten him with the slant such that he slow plays the running back. He doesn't exactly slow play it here. This is a 2nd and 3, so it's a successful play for the Commanders, even though they think they only gained 4 yards. It's a different game when you're facing a team that's committed to the option, whether it's a zone read option, to the field or to the boundary, whether it's gap scheme option stuff. The Ravens do a lot of that. And I will tell you, there's a lot of Ravens-flavored plays here in this game. One thing you can't do, I don't think, is you can't spike across. They're trying to switch the 3 technique and the shade. So the 3 technique is here, and the shade, they're trying to spike him across. And watch how this opens up the run concept to the field. Really puts Lavonte David in a difficult situation. He's capable of handling it because he's just a badass inside linebacker, even at his age. One more example of the zone read concept with a lock call on the backside. So you're still blocking that backside defensive end or edge player, forcing the inside linebacker to slow play it. Why? Because he sees that huge lane. He sees that huge window there and recognizes, okay, I may be a part of the RPO. It might be a slant here. It might be a little hitch, something that I just can't roll out on such that it creates a numbers advantage on the keep here or possibly the pass to the seam outside of me. Like I said, it's a 4-yard gain. Lavonte David does a great job folding down here. Along with 52, I think Britt. Finally, my favorite play to talk about here, I saved it until the end. Very unique. It's a trap RPO. I would expect to see this early. Why? Because they're going to want to create as much conflict as possible in the Lions' inside linebackers, their second level defenders, so that the things their coaches are telling them, the things that Aaron Glenn's coaches are telling the position players, they're actually executing them a little slower because of plays like this. This is a key breaker, creates conflict. There's a lot going on here. Hopefully, I'll be able to explain it in a way that you guys understand and appreciate it like I do. I would call it a trap RPO, where Jayden Daniels can give it to the running back here, even though he doesn't necessarily appear to be reading this edge defender number 0. What I think the Bucs are trying to do is they're trying to stunt this guy down inside and then bring the safety off the edge for Jayden Daniels. So force a keep read and then run the safety directly into him. Just so happens that Washington is running the trap RPO. The trap aspect of it is the pulling tackle, kicking out the safety, and you can see the slant window by McLaurin. Levante David recognizes it a little bit too late. This is second drive. I expect to see this early in the game against the Lions to create conflict. Now, if you're playing man, then it doesn't matter. So if you're playing man here, then you shouldn't be looking in the backfield anyway. You should be playing man. You might get beat on the slant, but you won't get beat because you're staring in the backfield. You're getting fooled, if you will, by the RPO. So perhaps Washington doesn't run it. Here's the scheme. Tackle pulling, presumably to kick out the edge defender, but we know because I showed it earlier and I diagrammed it, he's kind of stunting to the inside. The safety, who's off screen to our right, is coming on a pseudo blitz, if you will. He would be responsible for Jayden Daniels. So you can see what would be the read man's helmet there. And Jayden Daniels does appear to be looking there for a moment. But as we go through this slowly, his eyes, you can see, go to the middle of the field real quick. I think he's immediately read the blitz, and you're not really getting him. He's off screen. My apologies. The safety is off screen there. I like to zoom in a little bit for various reasons. But I think that Jayden Daniels has real quickly recognized that blitz off the edge. Okay, let me confirm with the inside linebacker here, and bang, throw the slant. All that happened really fast. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm presuming too much for Jayden Daniels in terms of his ability to process. I don't think so, because I know high school kids that have processed that, not at NFL speed, obviously. High school speed, even as young as 12 or 13 years old. It's a brilliant play that I think is a key breaker. Really gives Tampa Bay a manner to try to create confusion in the players on the field, despite what Aaron Glenn and his defensive coaches might be telling their guys in live time. They're going to try to create conflict in those guys, and what Aaron Glenn wants to do is he wants to simplify it. He wants to simplify the game, let his guys play fast. How did they do that against the Vikings in Week 18? They brought a lot of pressure, played downhill, forced Sam Darnold to make decisions. If you look back at 2023, also kind of what Aaron Glenn and his defense did at the end of that season for various reasons. Bring pressure because of a dearth of corner talent. This year, if Terrion Arnold is good to go, Terrion Arnold and Amik Robertson, they can get the job done. They're good enough to get the job done. Would they like to have CD3 out there? Absolutely, because he was having a badass season, if you ask me. Whether they bring him back or not, his time in Detroit should be looked upon favorably, particularly the last 6 or 7 weeks of his season, which became abbreviated after the broken jaw injury, because he was playing as good at outside corner as anyone on film I had seen. Would they love to have him out there? Yes. Would they love to have Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport, other guys like Derek Barnes who provide versatility? Sure. Aaron Glenn has got to figure out a way to get this done with the guys he's got available out there on the field. I think they can get the job done. I don't think this is the type of game where they're just going to out and out stop Washington's offense 6, 7, 8 times if there's only a 10 possession game. I think you're looking at a situation where they've got to hold Washington to a couple of field goals, maybe 3 when they're able to get down inside the red zone, get 4 or maybe 5 organic stops otherwise, and hopefully only give up 1 touchdown, win the game something like 31-17 or 31-19, depending on how many touchdowns they give up. I don't pretend for that to be my final prediction. In fact, I don't give predictions. I think it's kind of worthless and not fun for me. I prefer to watch the film and try to relate to other people or display or illustrate to you, excuse me, some of the elements of the game that I think I understand that maybe the average fan hasn't been exposed to. Like I've been blessed enough to be exposed to higher level coaches and people than myself to impart knowledge upon me. And this is my attempt to try to show you some of the things that I saw in my film study, which was quite significant. In any case, this is my first part of my second preview, excuse me, where I'm looking at the high leverage, high intensity moment throws that Jayden Daniels has been capable of making, especially late in 2024, and also their option game, how diverse it is. I don't mean it to be overwhelming. If I presented too many concepts, feel free to let me know in the comment section. But if you did enjoy this video, first of all, please let me know. Second of all, please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.